Okay.
Yeah.
Recorded has starting. Or something like that. This bodes well for the person who's doing most of the talking. Oh boy. Anyway, hello and welcome. We have many players, and I am slightly concerned about this because I haven't ran a 4-player game for a long time, but you're all crazy nice and it'll be good. So,
We have your back, Maud. Don't you worry about a single thing.
you have my back, my side, my other side, my front, and the top of my head. So, it's fine.
Yeah, because Kai holds brain cells, and
Kai
so
does.
does Yuni, and also Snail.
Yes.
And I'm here.
It is too early in the morning for my brain cells to have woken up yet, so I don't think I have any to spare, sadly. It's why I've been pretty quiet.
Oh, bless. Well, I will start
It's
it
okay,
rolling.
we love you.
I'll start it rolling, and hopefully someone's brain cell will activate in the duration because this is gonna be a time. Okay.
Why do you want love right now?
This is Owl's cat who is bothering her.
Sorry.
We have another player in. It's like a 6-person Discord audio radio show. This is gonna go well.
She's gonna end up meowing. I can't do anything about that.
That's fine.
Should I wake up my dog? I'd feel kind of bad waking up my dog, but it seems like a party.
No, don't wake the sleeping papa. That would be sad. No. Okay, I better start before anything else happens. So, it's a beautiful day in Toontown because Toontown is a place where things begin. It's a big, exciting city where, big ideas are, made real, and that's the whole thing about Inkwell. And today there is something very, very exciting happening, and there are a lot of very, very excited people. There's a huge crowd gathered around the station, the train station, which has existed for a while, but there is a new line opening and a new luxury express train. This is the Taffy train Cross-Continental, and I have to now find where the hell I have put the picture of the train, because I actually bothered to draw it. And so there's this gorgeous huge train that has pulled up into the station. There's a red carpet leading up to it. There's those cool little gold banisters with chains and paparazzi everywhere. And it's a gorgeous thing. If you've watched, that's the train. If you've watched Green Eggs and Ham, which you all should because it's really good. All of the carriages are like that.
I have seen the entirety.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
So all the carriages are
The
these
animation
beautiful.
is so pretty.
It is. So the carriages are that kind of organic, loopy, goopy shapes, and they also have this really odd structure on top. It looks a bit like a bendy straw. There's like a couple of those sticking in and out of different carriages from the top. It's like a water park slide, but also that thing from Futurama. You're not quite sure what's going on with that, but it looks cool. And the fuel caddy is this bubblegum machine type deal, and out of the engine's slightly sticky funnel there come thumping these great big clouds of pink cotton candy in time with the engine, and it smells great. Like, honestly, you're super hungry just standing here. And you four are standing here not in the crowd, not in the paparazzi. You are on the red carpet because you four have won golden tickets to board this extraordinary vehicle and have a marvellous time. So one by one, let's go top to bottom. So that's Kai, then Al, then Snail, then Yuni. Oh, thank you.
That's such a cool trade.
I want it to be real.
It's just a cool trade.
Y'all, Maud, you have to put the train in the video because, for real, it actually is the world's coolest train.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, sure, I'll do that, don't worry. There's gonna be other stuff for you to look at later. I have no idea what I'm saying. Oh, okay, from top to bottom, go ahead, introduce yourself, your character, and describe, if you want to, how they won this ticket, but mostly, how they feel about this situation being the center of so much attention.
All right. Hi, I'm Kai. I'm playing Charlie, who is a worn bard. Realistically, though, he's more of a con artist more than anything else. And I suspect he probably got this ticket from, as he was just, wandering about town, and he pickpockets someone, and, to open the wallet to see if there's anything exciting, and, golden ticket. Right, well, I'll take this, then.
Oh.
So
That's so
Is
encouraging.
now.
Oh my.
He's a good person and he's excited about this, but also he's not gonna say no.
Very important question.
Yes?
Is he impersonating the person he stole the ticket from, or are the tickets nameless?
That is important, actually. That's hugely important.
Oh, yeah. Like, are the tickets nameless? Can he just rock up as whoever he likes?
They
Or,
are nameless.
Is there a name on the ticket?
They are nameless. It's
Nameless?
up to you.
Okay. All right. I think Charlie's just gonna come as himself then, because like no one's gonna ask him any questions. He can just do what he likes.
Okay. You may have dodged a bullet there. Anyway, carry on. Owl, you're next.
Me? I'm next?
Oh, wait, how does Charlie...
Oh.
Wait, 1 second. How does Charlie feel about, like, being here? Does he like the attention?
yeah.
Does he not?
He's not like he's cool with the attention. He is trying to kind of hide his face a little bit because again, as a con artist, one of the things you need to do is like, not get recognized as someone else. But like this train looks utterly awesome. He loves how like sugary and sweet it looks. So he's definitely excited.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Okay, now Owl, it's your go. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so, you may or may not know, whom this child is because, they tend to keep, not a low profile. Like, they're very well known to specifically, like, I don't know, 5 people in 5 very specific spots who might give out special, quests and stuff occasionally, almost like in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just literally an 8-year-old child. They're wearing a really nice pair of shorts, and that's what people tend to notice first. And that's why this kid is often called Shorts Kid. And Shorts Kid has a ticket because they ran around outside and picked up money until eventually they managed to pay off the person who originally had the ticket, and the quest fulfilled. And then they spent like 20 minutes in an amusing stealth gameplay pattern sneaking onto the train with their ticket past all the paparazzi, smacking things with their key, jumping around, doing some flips. You know how it goes. And for the most part, they're having a good time because they have a sneaking suspicion that something very valuable is on the train and they want it back.
That's great, but I will have to rein you back because you haven't got on the train yet.
Oh, shit, sorry.
That's important. You haven't got on the train yet.
Okay, just redact all of that. Shorts Kid has just been daydreaming about how they're gonna get on the train.
Yes!
And like it sucks back into their head and they blink and it's just like, oh right, I'm not there yet.
I love that! Like, that is better. That's so funny. I can see that happening, absolutely. That explains how excited they are just perfectly. Okay. Snail, it is your character's turn.
Snail. I am Snail Comics, and I am playing Snailian, who is definitely not just a rechase with black and white ink over my Snona. Snailian is an original OC Donut Steel who fell from the stars and is pretty sure they plan on getting back. But after they fell into a police station and they confiscated almost everything valuable that they had, so they're now broke as a
Noke.
Yes, thank you. Broke as a Noke. They were leaving the police station because the police couldn't like hold them. They were just taking all this stuff for the property damages. And they found something stuck on their little nubbin, and they looked it up and, oh, golden ticket. Might as well do this while you're trying to figure out how you're getting back to the stars. And the thing is, they kind of love it here. So they're like touching everything with their only a little bit goopy little nubbins, and they're just looking around, and they are definitely absolutely in the middle of all this hubbub just touching the carpet because it's red.
Mm-hmm.
They are a black and white little little creature, and they're about the size of Short's kid head. Actually, like they would fit right on top, which will surely never come back during this session.
No, definitely not.
Surely.
I'll be very sticky. Okay, that was great.
Okay. Hello. I'm Yuni. And I'm playing Larry.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna die.
Larry's
Everyone
a
okay?
very tall noodle man. You can't really tell how he's feeling because he's wearing a mask, but the mask gives the impression that he is not impressed by anything. He ate a candy bar and there was a ticket inside, and that's pretty much the end of the story. He's kind of looking at this whole big crowd and wondering how he can turn this into a song about the spectacle of life these days and how surface level and superficial everyone's interests have become in the hellscape that is our current kingdom. So that's where he's at right now.
God, I love you so much. I have to commend Yuni for perhaps being, I think, the first player on this Toonkind server who has created a straight man. I am just so delighted.
I'm sorry I couldn't fucking hold it in just because I heard you take a deep breath and then your voice devoid of all emotion except for disdain. And I was like, oh my god, you fucking dipped into character. I can't breathe.
You are my
it's going to be
hero.
very hard to keep it up the whole time.
That was astounding.
You
That was
really
astounding.
did a fantastic job.
I promise I won't cackle like a fucking, like, crow the whole time.
Yes, you are a bit
see,
like
we'll
the
see.
core agents. That's a good comparison. Oh no, but this is lovely. I kind of want to just let you talk forever, but nothing would happen, so I will have to actually start the game. However, your last commentary on the superficiality of this whole thing is perhaps kind of being demonstrated because you are garnering attention, and there are certainly people taking your pictures. There are more people at the other end of the red carpet barriers taking pictures of the people who have just about disappeared onto the train who got here before you. And do any of your characters follow movie news in particular, like celebrities in the Toon Kingdom?
Charlie would.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to in order to pull off some of the cons that he does, he needs to kind of keep up to date as to who is who and what's going on where. So.
Mm-hmm.
Snail arrived yesterday.
Okay. Shorts Kid, how about you?
Shorts Kid is already attempting to get inside the train. Like I said, they are attempting to stealth on and get around everyone. Whether or not they're successful is up to how many people are staring directly at them as they attempt to go around the train and up the wheels. And then oh look, there's an open window up there. And then someone just turns their head and they're like, why is that child 10 feet off the ground?
I don't think that was the question, but I am delighted.
They're 8. Okay, that should be your answer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair.
He's a very smart kid. Just, there's one thing he can focus on at a time.
And how about you, Mr. Cheerful?
Oh, yeah, I keep up on the entertainment business because I am an entertainer, but I am rarely committing any of the names to memory because they're all so lame.
Sellouts, the whole lot of them. Okay, well, despite your disposition towards them, Charlie and Larry, you both recognize the last person to get on the train because you haven't been paying attention. But you definitely recognise the back of Professor Woodlig Don Vreek, who is one of the most beloved television icons of the nation. Since screening has been invented, he's been doing sort of open university lectures, and he is also very famous as a composer, so musically he's very talented. And if you've been following the lead up to this event, you will also know that he invented this train. He invented the fuel that it runs off. He invented the transportation tubes, but we're going to get into that. And due to Short Kid's antics, Al, can you make me a dex saving throw?
Yes, I can.
First roll of
Hold
the
on
game.
a second. Hold on. I've forgotten what my dex is.
Yours is like crazy
It's
high.
something. Yeah, because this is what the kid does, is they jump.
Yep,
They jump real good.
they do jump real good.
They do a good jump.
Yep, shorts kid. Okay, what did D&D Beyond load, you dang thing. Okay, my dex is +3, so for... I forgot how to do a saving. What do I need to roll again?
There should be an extra
It's a
little box
D20.
that says your saving throws for them. You could just do a straight dex roll just to save time, it's fine.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, no, saving throw modifier is still +3. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, D20 +3.
Right down the middle.
Yep.
Oh, I'm like in the wrong section for this. There we are. Okay, that's a 10. Okay. In that case, I will also make one because that seems fair. Okay, you are snatched out of midair by the scruff of your neck, by an oddly warm, fuzzy paw, and you find yourself face to face with something that does have a face, but not eyes, so that's a little disconcerting. I have to ask you a question because of your introduction. Does Short's kid know the engineer?
Please.
It kind of depends on if you're okay with it, because if you are okay with it, then yes. But if you want to make this the first time that they've ever met, then no.
I'm gonna go with it. So you are met with a warm sigh, which is not unaffectionate. And he says, "Of all the people. Well, it's nice to see you, laddie, I suppose. Of course you'd be one of the extremely lucky winners of this prestigious event." And he takes your ticket off you and drops you on the floor sort of unceremoniously. But it's not so far that it hurts because he's only a tiny bit taller than you. It's really kind of impressive that he managed to hoist you off the floor at all. And he turns around to the rest of you who have now approached the train because it is your turn to get on the train. Oh, it's so exciting, but you're not allowed to do it yet. So the engineer bows and waves to the paparazzi because you have to do that. You get the idea that he actually doesn't particularly enjoy this part much. And, you know, that's strange because you've seen him at award ceremonies and he just loves that. So it's a bit of a about that. Make an insight roll. Anybody who wants to?
Okay. What is my insight? God. It probably isn't very good.
We have a 12.
Oh, actually, I do have advantage on that. Nice.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Whoa! Oh my goodness.
What
Got a
the
bunch of
heck?
savants here. 23, and an 18.
That's
Short
two
kid.
nat 20s in a row from both myself and Uni.
That's
the heck?
amazing.
Yeah,
That's like
impressive.
legit.
Okay,
Short
okay.
Kid just tugs on the back of the conductor's coat thing and says, "I stole mine. Actually, I bought it," which is like stealing with money.
The engineer just like pats you on the head. That's his only response to this. It's just kind of endearing and absolutely what he expected. And
Short
perhaps,
Kid leans into it.
yeah, perhaps because of this, chink in the armor, you kind of all get a read on this guy. So he's not only a lot more soft and fuzzy on the inside than perhaps you've gleaned from the news of his his famous temper and fiery attitude towards filmmaking. And lots of Toons love his explosive, very Warner-orientated movies. But this train really doesn't have his vibe. And while he is famous as being the engineer and having expertise in trains, like, oh my goodness, this guy loves trains. He actually, like, you get the idea that this isn't his train, and like it's kind of unusual for him to be running a train. He's a movie director, so there is something up with this. And you know, at a guess, with nat 20s all round, you think he's doing someone a favor. So yeah, he waves at the train and says, "Aye, she's a beauty. This one, not quite my usual style, but I cannot deny it. Well, she can move something wonderful. Before we board, it's just, you know, these technicalities. If I can just get you to sign these here contracts, I'd be very much obliged. And if you don't, you're not allowed on, so it's up to you, really." And he hands you all purple contracts, which have beautiful gilt scroll writing all over them. And I mean all over them. Like, there's writing in the trim, there's writing on the back. There's writing so small that you would need a microscope, under a microscope, to be able to read it. And the only thing you can actually kind of figure out is where you're meant to sign. And you all get a nice, shiny golden pen.
Snailian immediately signs.
I love you, Snail.
Short
She
kid.
don't-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
She don't know anything. She is blindly trusting these people.
Oh God.
Charlie signs in a squiggle that is absolutely not his name and will not be legally binding, if at all possible.
Interesting. Carry on.
Oh, I can't see this going wrong at all. And
I'm so freaking excited that we have a straight man in the group.
Oh my god.
Larry sort of like he doesn't immediately sign. He tries to look it over, but he quickly realizes there is no point with this tiny print. So he just heaves a long sigh and signs it, because the life of a musician is to sign contracts that will fuck you over.
Oh, no. It's funny because it's true.
Yep, that is his style.
Oh my God.
How about you, Shorts Kid? What are you up to?
Shorts kid is again tugging on the engineer's coat, and they just say, "I'm a minor."
Oh, that's right.
Which means that they can't sign a contract and have it be legally binding without a parent or guardian. So they just like hold it up to him and say, "Can you sign under it so that like I can go on the field trip?"
Are you asking the engineer to be her responsible adult?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yes.
Excellent. There is a hesitation during the time of which you swear you could hear something break, and it seems to come from, you know, within the engineer's chest, like slightly to the left. You're not sure what that was about. But he sort of tilts his head to the side and says, "All right, just this once," and gets Shorts Kid to turn around so he can sign it on his back. So yeah. On your behalf,
Kid does so and is very excited.
on your behalf, I hope you behave on this trip. And while me and my crew here will, my staff, sorry, not the crew. I'm used to using
I'm
that
legally
word.
a bird now.
Yes, we are all very proud of you.
He's my dad.
Snailian claps.
The en-
Snailian claps.
The engineer starts waving his hands like in denial at all the paparazzi who have suddenly started taking pictures and making notes about this, and he's like, no, this is a one-off, and I'm sure I speak for everybody that your fellow passengers, and he gives everybody else here a pointed look, will also do their best to look after you on the journey. There's definitely a sort of threatening air to this statement.
Okay, Pop.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got it.
Oh.
I arrived here like yesterday. You should probably find a better adult.
You're an adult? Oh, I mean, and how about you, Mr.
Can I roll
Lanky?
stealth?
But
I would like to
why
roll a
am I
stealth.
part of this conversation?
Okay, Shorts Kid is rolling stealth. I don't know why, but we'll find out in a minute. You fail.
Oh no!
Shorts Kid rolled stealth because they very quietly were trying to hold the engineer's hand.
Oh no!
So they whiff completely.
Yeah.
And they kind of fall on their face.
Oh, the engineer like whisks his hand out of the way before you can hold on to it, but it immediately comes back down to pick you up again from the scruff of your neck, and he's just pretends like this didn't happen. Anyway, finally, with some ceremony, like literally, there's a tiny and confetti opens. Your carriage, this is the second car of the train, is pushed up in front of the red carpet, and the door opens, and the engineer says, well, I hope you have a lovely time, and considering our previous engagements, and he looks at Shortskid, and you've all been extremely obliging in signing my contract here, I would like to invite you to meet me up later in the day in the laboratory. The professor is generally keeps that carriage locked for health and safety reasons, but he's got things he wants to show you, and while it's usually off limits for passengers, you've got to see this engine. And here he's like talking directly at Short's Kid, like, it's a beauty, I cannot wait to show you what is in there. And he's like, he's literally kind of glowing with excitement about this. But
Baby.
he recovers.
So cute.
He smooths his fur down a bit because it got a bit prickly like a Ghibli character. And he's like, well, on you go, all aboard. And you hear the beautiful, melancholy whistle of this train like resound over Toontown. And there's an enormous cheer from the crowd. And do you get on the train?
I need everybody to know Snailian has been very delicately trying to grab confetti, and she definitely just popped her helmet just a little bit over her mouth and stuffed some confetti in her mouth.
Oh, I love Snailian. Oh.
Oh my god.
And then she like
Very
tried to discreetly put the helmet back down, but it of course gets stuck in the notch in her face, so she is now like trying to force it down, and it's pretty clear that there's confetti bits outside of her goopy little mouth.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh god.
Right, are you all getting on
very
board?
strongly considering
Yeah.
if he can leave.
Oh.
Charlie's gonna hop on the train and immediately like scramble about trying to find onto whatever chairs there are and lounge about in like in whatever position will take up the most space on the chairs.
You're gonna have a time doing that because, my goodness, this is a cushy place, and I haven't been bothered to draw the interior of these things, so I am just going to describe them to you. May I just ask, like, is everybody now on the train? Also, Larry, when you turn around to try and see if there's a way to escape, there is a wall of paparazzi. Like, as soon as you sign that contract, they just removed some of the banisters, so you are trapped. You have to, like...
Which end of the train did we get in on?
I'll explain that in a second. Actually, I should pin this because this might be
so
useful.
confused.
How do you pin
Yes.
things? I am so bad at...
You click the more button.
Ah, okay.
You-
Yeah, sorry, I'm using a touchpad, which I am not used to doing. There we go, I have now pinned that. Right, because this is going to come in quite a lot, this little diagram here, and I would almost recommend that you have this open, like, in another tab or something, so we can keep referring back to it. Because this is the layout of the Taffy train, and that's what you're on now. Hooray! So when you step through the portal onto this train, you feel this kind of bubble mixture as you get on. And those of you who are magic users, can you make a perception check? I feel like that should be passive perception, actually. Yeah, that should be passive perception. Right, I will make a roll for you.
That would be a 10 over here.
Okay, so I'm going to say that was like a versus roll, so you all notice what happens to you when you get on this train. If any of you have ever been in a house with a safety lock on it, reference to a previous game I ran, there is a safety mechanism that you can cast on buildings or forms of transport if you wish. And basically it's completely harmless, but it does seal magic and it seals weaponry. So if you try to draw your weapon on this train, you can have it with you. It's not going to come out of its sheath or out of your pocket or wherever you're keeping it. Likewise, magic, it's kind of nixed on here. And yeah, that was part of the contract you just signed.
Man, it always itches. Why does it itch?
Because you're losing a piece of yourself.
I'm pretty sure it's all still attached to me.
See, now
Rarely notice the things most important to us.
Until they're taken
No, that
away.
makes sense.
I'm curious because, like, as a bard, okay, yes, I can technically cast spells. What does stuff like bardic inspiration count as? What does
That's true.
what
Anyway,
do all like my other weird little traits and lucky things count as? Can I use those, or are they just gone?
honestly, we will come back to this, so don't freak out. As your magical all-seeing DM for this particular occasion, I am not the great and all-seeing DM. The silver screen people will understand what I'm
Wink.
saying there. But yes, this will come back in, and you may escape the clutches of this terrible, terrible fate. However, you are distracted by this terrible fate by how cushy this place is. It's so nice in here. So it's all really warm tones. It's all delicious sort of caramel golds and rose pinks and little highlights of brass, and there's a sort of satin sheen to everything. The carpets are deep pile. You know, like Snailian, if you went apeshit for the red carpet outside, you're having the time of your life on this thing. So
Shorts Kid
nice.
attempts to eat part of the seat closest to them.
Yeah, so the carriage you've got into, if you see, like, on the left side, I've basically abbreviated the left side of this train. So there are 3 sleeping cars, and you have got on number 2, which has a nice sort of orange tone to it. This is the second-class sleeping quarters. You all have your own independent little sleeping cabby thing, and they have a washroom and a really nice bed, and places that it looks like your luggage has already been put on the train. And in fact, you remember, while you were on the red carpet, you could see a bunch of penguins, like, hefting really heavy looking luggage onto the train ahead of you from the celebrities. Like, excessive amounts of baggage, you know, that kind of thing. But yes, so your suitcases, if you had any, have been taken and put into your rooms. And if you go to the left, there is the first class carriage, but the rest of the train is all to the right, and it's getting towards 6 o'clock, so you might be feeling a little bit hungry. What do you do?
This train does not taste like taffy. I feel like it's false advertising.
Did you try licking the outside?
I didn't have a chance because I got picked up by my collar. Oh, that reminds me. And Shorts Kid runs off to their bunk and starts digging around in like what looks like a really poorly packed child's suitcase. And they shuffle the curtain on the bunk closed. And 2 seconds later, they pop out and they're wearing a tiny engineer uniform, or an approximation based on the item of clothing they specialize in, which is shorts.
I'm so happy.
They then pose.
Very good.
Snailian once
Charlie
again
applauds.
claps.
Yeah, Charlie joins in there.
Also,
Thank
please,
you.
please imagine Snailian like popping from place to place, and they're like silently reacting. And then Larry, you notice that actually you can feel them slowly inching up on you, and eventually they just sort of rest on your head as their silent images keep on just popping all over, like clearly excited but not actually saying anything.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
That's so good.
Oh,
He does nothing to stop it from climbing up, but he is also not paying attention to Shorts Kid because he fails to see how any of this is relevant to him.
oh no.
Oh dear. So you're just staying in your sleeping car and not enjoying adventuring the whole of this train.
Oh no, I didn't say that. He is going to walk around on this train, but he has yet to see any reason to actually interact with the other passengers.
Boo. I mean,
Snailian
character.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Snailian is just along for the ride wherever he's going, as long as she doesn't disapprove of it. She's just on his head as like active and excited little after images of her keep on popping up everywhere, like this is cool, without ever actually saying anything.
He is sort of plucking at his banjo, and it's hard to describe how someone so lackluster can hum, but he is humming as he is looking around, distinctly unimpressed.
Astounding. Charlie will have gone, like, as soon as he got on the train, would have just kind of run over and gone, like, I claim this bed, plonked down on that backwards, lay there for about, like, 0.3 seconds, spring back up, and then gone, like, got any snacks on this thing? And then wandered off down the train.
Good move. Are you all following,
God,
Charlie?
Yes, because you have to go to the right to get anywhere in this train.
Video game rules!
especially-
Yeah!
Since, like, the next car is the staff car, Shorts Kid wants to go show off their outfit.
Oh, that's nice. That's really sweet. Okay, so the first carriage you enter is actually the third sleeping caddy. This is the staff's sleeping quarters, and it's also the storage. As soon as you enter this carriage, you realise that this is definitely an unusual train, and not that unusual by Toonkind standards, because you have the establishing shot outside the building, and then you go inside, and it's clearly a lot bigger on the inside. This carriage is way bigger on the inside. It's triple decker for a start, and there is room for storage for extra cargo, and there are penguins, and there are ducks, and there are owls, and they're all kind of sorting things out. And as soon as they see you enter, they respectfully sort of all stand to attention, and they're all wearing the same kind of livery that the engineer was, which is this dusty dark chocolate with very, very pale rose pink highlights in satin, and it's really cute. Like, honestly, you want to hug everything in this cabin. But one of the owls actually immediately runs up to you and says, hi, I'm really sorry about this, but you did sign the paperwork, so if I could just, before you go into the next carriage, can I take, well, it's a bit hard to describe, but we're calling it a DNA sample. That's it's the professor. He's doing some research, and he's sweating literally bullets, and he looks so anxious. But he's got this little sample bag with 4 little test tubes with cotton swabs inside, and he says, it's nothing very serious. It's for research. It's the definitive nomenclature of animation test, and it's very important. So if you could possibly let us take samples, that would be good. And he looks like he's about to cry.
Shorts Kid says, we have to ask my train dad first.
I think the engineer is definitely going to be saying yes to this, considering he made you sign the contract.
Yeah, but he has to say it, otherwise it's like illegal, I think. I'm 8.
Okay. The owl actually nods so quickly that his face is a blur at this point. He's like, oh yeah. If you just go over to that panel on the wall over there, and you can see, and in fact this was in the previous carriages, in all carriages, there is a little, it's a strange looking thing. It's like a screen, but it's kind of like made of brass, and there's a little speaker thing next to it, and there is a red button beneath it. And you know what kids love doing? They love pressing buttons. So, what are you gonna do?
Shorts kid isn't quite tall enough to reach the button.
Yeah.
It's
Larry
just a
will walk
little bit.
over and press the button.
Aww.
Shorts kid quickly hugs him around the tum and then says, "Trade Dad."
The screen flickers on just in time for the engineer to hear you say that, and you sort of see him fall out of screenshot, like you can, like, the anime fall, and there's this thud and a comical sort of, you hear a car's hubcap go rattling off into the distance somehow, and he comes back and says, all right, let's keep it professional, child. Okay, what is it? What can I do to help you? Are you all right? And the screen is working, but it's all a bit zigzaggy. It's a bit like there's a loose connection somewhere.
As my train dad, I have to ask you before I let them stab me with needles.
Oh, you mean the DNA test? Oh, there's no needles involved there, lassie. No, don't worry about that.
Oh, so knives? Is
Yeah.
it knives again?
No.
Because that hurt that one time.
Not this time. Do you mind not bringing that up? And you can see him sort of pull at his collar like that. That never happened.
It was fun.
And this
I don't know why you
time
don't
that
wanna
never
talk about
happened.
it.
Yeah, so he says, like, well, what they do is they take one of those wee little cotton swabs there. They just touch it on the inside of your cheek. I don't actually know what. The professor was a little vague on details, but it's all for a very good cause, and I will say, if you do not oblige, then you will probably not be allowed onto the rest of the train. I'm just going to let you get on with that. And he turns off the television.
That's just my train dad. You know how it is. And they beam up at Larry, and it's like rays of pure, shiny child admiration, and it's aimed straight at this dead inside man.
Yeah, he stares back down, his mask completely impassive, and goes, I think your train dad is trying to get us into a scientific experiment.
Well, he did say that.
Possibly. At least there's no knives.
If we mutate, I will take it out on your bloodline.
I'm 8, but okay. It's all right. I know sometimes people get mad at me and then they do things like throw knives at me or get like really upset, but then afterwards we're like best friends forever. And I have like a contract with a guy who tried to kill me like 3 times, but now he's my bestest friend. And the engineer is now my train dad. So like it's all cool. You can be like my fun train uncle. They have already taken the cotton swab and are like brushing their teeth with it.
Harry continues to stare, completely impassive. This explains very much, and I do not even know you.
Want to hold hands?
I have no opinion on the matter.
Shorts kid takes his hand.
How about Charlie, Larry, and Snailian? Are you going to subject yourself to this experiment, which apparently you don't have a choice on because the guy is such a con artist? Charlie, you may be slightly impressed, I don't know.
He's slightly impressed and slightly worried because, again, he doesn't want to actually be positively identified. He can change his name, he can't change his DNA. But if they're doing mouth swabs and everything, he kind of just like, as we are doing tunes and I can do what I like here, he kind of like puts I realize I never actually stated earlier, he is a cat in the same sort of style of Cats Don't Dance, but he slaps a paw over his mouth and kind of just like, when he pulls it away, his mouth is gone. It's actually like held in his hand. It's just like, What do I do if we don't? So what do we do if we don't have a mouth?
That's brilliant. The
I'll
owl.
lick your swab for you.
No, that's not how it works. And the owl looks at the mouth in your hand because it's like you can still see it, dude. And he basically is like, I know it's a little anxious making, isn't it? But this is a very new thing. It won't be used in any way against you. It's really very important. Actually, am I allowed to tell them about that? And he's looking at the other owls, specifically in this compartment. A lot of these owls look very sciencey. In fact, you start to suspect this is a bit of a train of science. And they sort of go into a huddle, and they talk to each other, and they all sort of come out, sort of nodding. All right, well, it's a bit difficult to bring up, but you know how things have been going a bit strange in Inkwell lately? And he says it so quietly you can barely hear it.
What?
Yes.
Strange in Inkwell?
Oh, you know about that?
Yes.
Oh, well,
Our
you know.
country is falling apart.
Oh, well.
Oh, that's
I run into
very
a couple of things
sad.
like this before.
yeah.
Snailian very gently pats Larry on the head.
Well, let me show you something. And he walks you over to the window, and he actually opens the window, and you can lean out of the window because this bubble shielding also basically acts as a safety net, so you can't fall off this train as long as you're inside this bubble. And you have like this faintest sensation of wind pushing against your face, but even then it's like it's quiet, it's muffled, and it's not like a threatening thing because this train is going fast. Holy crap, you noticed for the first time how fast this thing is. It's like, wow, you know, sugar high? Like that is the speed of this train is child on a sugar high. Whoa. But yeah, you also notice on the side of the trains there are filters which seem to be gathering dust and air samples as the train is going along, and there's even a gloved hand on an animated sort of robot armature that goes out and scoops up a little bit of soil as it's going along. Well, you see, we're collecting samples not just from volunteers, and he says that word with a little bit of an unconvinced accent, but also from the various regions of Inkwell, just to see if we can figure out what's going on. The professor will explain more about it. It's very important, so if you could oblige, that would be great. Otherwise, you'll have to stay in your carriage.
I have a question.
Yes?
Does it matter if we're from space? Because I am definitely from space.
Oh no, that I think he would be very excited to learn that you're from space. You're from space? And all of the owls are very interested now. And in fact, a lot of the penguins seem to be interested, and they sort of come around and are like, They're very small, so it's very cute.
Yes, hello.
Approximately how many owls / penguins are there?
There are 5 owls. There are about 25 penguins. You're going to be there a while.
So yes, all of y'all feel free to continue because she is going to say hello to every single person who is now murmuring over her.
Hello.
Larry instantly goes, I'll tell you what's wrong with Einquell. And then he strikes a dramatic chord on his banjo. We have forgotten what we have come from. This country is built on a lie. We have forgotten our original basis.
And there is
And
this...
you can tell he is about to he is going to go into a big moody song about this if he is not stopped.
There is a
Short
sudden...
kid lets go of his hand and then just wanders off down the train.
Okay, question.
But
You've got a good question. There is a safety bubble. Does the safety bubble actually extend for a little bit out of the train? Like you can properly stick your head and everything out?
Oh yeah, you can stick your head right out. In fact, as you look down, you notice that there is an external gangway. Like you can walk around the outside of the carriages if you really, really want to, because hell, the views are great, man.
Okay, cool. Can Charlie please push Larry out of the train? Like,
Oh, that's so good. What would that be? A strength roll? Make me a strength roll.
yeah, quite probably. Because it's like, oh no, I don't want to get into this dramatic song. Can we please not? Oh, Charlie is not good with strength, but he's gonna try.
Although I will say that this will... 15. Yeah, you make one, Yuni. Let's see how you do. This will be interesting. 16! I'll say, what happens with this is the gag almost works. Larry, you are caught unawares and are pushed sufficiently that you basically almost entirely go out of the window, but your feet catch either side of the window, and in a very rubber hose toony way, you sort of pull backwards in, like almost like you've reversed the push, and you end up back where you were. And yeah.
And Larry, in coming back in, whacks Charlie over the head with his banjo. Not enough to hurt him, but does whack him, and then plays one more dramatic chord.
A lot of the penguins seem to be interested.
It's like, right, guess I deserve that.
Try to silence the truth. This is the state we are in.
I am gonna take that fucking ukulele off you and toss it out of the train if you keep up with us. We're here for a good time, mate.
Yeah.
Snailian raises their hand. Hey, I have a question.
Yes?
Why didn't my shield of faith work when they were trying to push us out of the train building?
It push you out of the train building? Oh, you mean you were trying to help? Yes. The bubble barrier. If you're from space, you wouldn't know. Oh, she's from space. She doesn't know, and they're all so excited about this. Larry, everyone is ignoring you now, which is really upsetting.
Please note that they are looking literally at his head, but not at him, because Snailian is still
on the head.
His head.
People are not interested in the hard truths of life.
From the far back, there is one penguin who yells, "Anarchy!" And everyone stares at him for a second, and then he sort of kicks the floor and walks off somewhere. And the owls explain to Snailian about the magical shielding, and it is basically a standard safety thing, and it's not actually that surprising on public transport especially. It's just a sort of social convention that has become normal. But yeah, they are still definitely not going to let you out of this train carriage before you've given your swab samples. So in the interest of getting through this train, because my god, we've spent an hour and we are still in the third carriage, shall I just take those swabs from your characters? Is that okay?
Yes. Snail.
Yeah, Larry sort of takes the swab, does something underneath his mask, you can't tell what, and hands it back.
Mysterious.
Snailian definitely finishes greeting everybody with a hello, and then does take the swab. They just had to make sure that they were polite and said hello to everybody who was interested because they are an alien.
That's very fair, that's fine. Charlie, what about you? I mean, Charlie's got the most interesting reason not to.
I think, like, obviously Charlie wants to see the rest of this train more than he wants to, not be identified. So I think it's going to be like, you're not going to use this for anything else. It's like, you're not going to give this out to anyone else, right?
Oh no. And they all shake their heads as violently as it had nodded it before, so they sort of turn into a blur.
Pinky promise?
Oh, yes. And you have 5 fluffy owl pinkies shaking with yours.
All right, swab it is. Charlie slaps his mouth back onto his face, and does the swab.
And for those who don't know, a pinky promise in Toonland is like that's like a blood oath. That's like super serious. So they mean this.
That's exactly why I did it.
You know how some tunes only have 3 fingers?
Mm-hmm.
They broke a pinky promise and lost their pinkies.
Oh, that's a great urban myth. I like that. Okay, so yes, and Shorts Kid has already brushed her teeth with a cotton swab, which is interesting. And yeah, so they all are like very relieved about this and very grateful, and there's a sort of woo cheer from the scientist owls. The penguins seem less interested, but they're kind of like, the cool Snailian is gonna go, and I thought the person was gonna sing a song, but it won't be as good as that guy. Oh no one's as good as that guy. And yeah, you're now allowed to move on through the carriage.
upwards we
Let's
go.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
You're gonna go. You're gonna go.
I still
Okay.
want snacks.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
we supposed to wash the car in here, or do we wash ourselves in the car, or does the car wash us?
Good question. If you're all just walking straight into the next carriage, everybody make me a dex saving throw.
Is there a
yeah.
swimming pool in here? Okay, Dex would still be 20 plus 3.
Ooh, I actually got
18
something good.
from Snailian. 24.
I can
24
loan.
from Charlie.
Yeah.
I can loan my dex to Larry if he rolls bad and have me like fall off or something.
Okay, amazingly, you all make this because after crossing, like, there's actually a little bit of a gap between the carriages in case you want to take the walkway instead. So you open this door, and one after the other, because there are 4 of you, there's a sort of bump, 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 although there's one of you is on the other's head, so there's a bump, bump, and you all end up sort of teetering, but you do not fall off a diving board, because you are in the bathing car, and indeed, it is just a big-ass swimming pool, but it's a bath. It's like what you dreamed that bathroom in Harry Potter was like, but they didn't quite make it as cool as in your brain in the film. And yeah, there's a huge slide that goes all the way down. There's a diving board which you are precariously balanced on, but not full enough. There's like inflatable toys everywhere. There's a cute little seal holding an egg for some reason by the side of the pool, but that's a bonus. There's the shower units. There's washrooms everywhere. There are so many bubbles. Oh my goodness, all the bubbles. So yeah,
Mod.
it's lovely.
What do I roll to cannonball?
I would call that acrobatics. Go for it.
Can I assist
Hell
by saying
yeah.
jump, jump, jump,
Jump.
jump?
Oh, Charlie's just going fucking straight away. You can't stop him.
Yeah!
Oh yes, 18.
You do a perfect triple axel and barely a splash escapes as you enter the water, which is so nice and warm and clean. Oh, you feel marvellous, even though you just jumped in any clothes that you were wearing. So that's great.
Can I point out? While I love the idea of Charlie doing an absolutely acrobatic dive, no, I straight up said cannonball.
Oh, you
He's trying
did?
to make the biggest splash possible.
Okay, I'll tell you what, you did a triple
wants to
axel,
get
then you
everyone else.
cannonballed, and like you half empty the water, it just goes kaboosh.
Yes.
It's very, very good.
Amazing. Please tell me I've soaked everyone else.
That's a good question. Everybody else make me a dex saving throw.
Can I refuse to make a dex saving throw if I want to get
Of
splashed?
course, absolutely.
We both have a plus 3. I think I got the 16.
I'm gonna say, Larry,
Yeah, you
like,
did.
for the sake of comedy in 11, ain't gonna cut it, and yeah, you totally get soaked. Shorts Kid, you get a little bit splashed, but it's kind of like, it's fine. It's like a sort of water gun effect.
Short
Snailian!
kid ducks behind Larry's legs, and that's how they avoid most of the water.
Yeah, and Snailian, because, you know, Larry failed and you just wanted to, yeah, you get completely dunked. It's great.
Larry, jump, 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 jump.
think
I'm
she
just
wants you to
gonna
jump.
keep saying it. Jump,
And
jump, jump,
as
jump,
Snailian
jump,
keeps chanting,
jump.
Larry is looking for the passage rounds that doesn't involve getting in the water.
That's very easy to do.
Oh,
There's
that's great. Come on in.
That's very easy to do. There's a sort of ramp down one side, which you could slide down or walk down, and there are stairs with a nice safety rail on the other.
Snailing immediately. Larry, are you chicken or something?
Oh, I'm just not interested.
Okay, I can respect that.
And he
Shorts
starts
kid.
walking down the ramp.
We respect you for not folding to peer pressure, Larry.
What a good boy. What a good boy. Shorts Kid summons their enter key, which is a big key with a hook on the end, and like the key tooth, I guess, is just like straight up a bar of what looks like nebula attached to the end of the stick, and they sprint down the ramp, but like right before they pass up Larry, and then there's like this wicked gleam. And can I roll animal handling to like fucking chuck him into the water?
That's great.
I'm pretty
Just
sure that would be like a strength contest.
I think that's a
No,
strength
because I
contest.
have
though.
animal handling.
No, Al. You gotta do it the right way. You gotta do it the right way. Also, I will say, like, I'm allowing this for the sake of comedy, but remember, your weapons and magic have been disabled. So, but I will allow this, because this is, like, neither. It's kind of a item, so...
Yeah, it's not a weapon, it's just a stylish
accessory. Okay, make a strength check to see if you can dunk Larry.
This is gonna suck because Short's kid has like no strength.
It doesn't mean anything if the dice like you. Oh, okay, no, that's not gonna do it. You attempt to, and like you basically end up hanging off him.
Larry tucks Short Kid under his big long arm and continues walking down.
Oh no. Charlie, are you just like swimming in the pool now?
Yeah, he's like doing the backstroke, spitting water out of his mouth and everything. He's having a grand old time. He's gonna like eventually make his way over to the other side and get out, and then like he's a cat, so he can't do the whole shake off thing that dogs do, but he does kind of just go on all fours and just like poof his fur. And he's going to be very fluffy for a while now.
In fact, when you do that, a bunch of Susayan hair dryers come down from the ceiling on like bendy tubes and go, and you are
excellent.
You are completely afroed. It's great.
Excellent.
The screen scrolls back to the whole entourage of Larry and now Snailian and Short's kid, and you could see that in front of Larry, Snailian had pulled out like a bedroll and was like holding out like to offer as a towel, and then they slowly roll it up, and then you can finally see Larry's, I assume, completely deadpan face as they slowly tuck it back in their Snail mitt.
Oh, face is eternally deadpan.
Mm-hmm. The most dead.
He has a mascot.
The deadest of pans. Okay, are we moving on to the next carriage?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see no reason not to.
Yeah, so there are no dex or constitution saves to make here. I mean, you almost feel like you should make a wisdom one because you come in here and you're like, oh, ooh, wow. And you know the library from Beauty and the Beast?
Ah.
Yeah. It's that.
Yes.
It's that. It's like a little bit
good.
smaller. It's a little bit smaller to like fit within, you know, the possible, like, this could conceivably be in a crazy kind of train carriage, but it's still lovely and it still has those swingable rolling ladders on all of the things. There's also, interestingly, it looks like you can move things in here to get the shelves out of the way, and there are so many shelves, so many books, so many nice comfy sofas to sit on, and there is a rolled up projection screen that is hung from the ceiling, and you can see a lovely big projector stuck into the wall. So you suspect, like, on particular evenings they will do film showings in here. And this is the first place where there is someone else in this carriage. She's of, you would guess, in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, but she's carrying it very well. She's not very tall. She's humankind. She's not a Toonkind. And she's wearing a very pretty dress. It's it's blue and white, and if she had her hair down it would be in pigtails, but they're kind of wrapped up around her head in a Germanic style, which is more suitable for a lady her age. She has a wicker basket over one arm, and it's got something in it under a blanket. You're not sure what that is. And she has a pair of very beautiful, glittering ruby red shoes.
That's good.
And you all immediately recognize this person because she is so beloved. She only really appeared in one film. Like, you feel like she appeared in other films afterwards, but you either didn't see it or it wasn't as good, so like no one really remembers it. But everyone in Inkwell has seen The Marvelous Magician of Oz.
Snailian arrived literally yesterday, and they saw the movie.
Yeah, Snailian doesn't know who this is.
Can't see.
Snailian doesn't know who this is. That's true. This is Dora C. Scale.
Charlie is going to kind of like lick his hand, smooth his hair back and everything, and go over and introduce himself because yes, good, he wants to meet these people. So,
Please note that Snailian immediately, first of all, has a silent image that just waves at her because she's very polite and will greet everybody. But also, there are like silent images just popping everywhere. Like, if you thought the sleeping car was bad, this is bonkers. She loves books.
Yay.
She loves books so much, and she's flipping out.
Okay, Shorts Kid and then Larry, like, how are you responding to this room and this person?
Shorts Kid is still currently under Larry's arm, and they haven't seen this person yet because they are being held, and they're just like,
Is hold.
I promise I won't trip you again if you put me down. And like, you can definitely tell they're doing the fingers crossed thing, but like, they're just like, come on, look at this face. You can't be mad at this face.
I'm not mad. I'm just holding you here. And Larry tries to grab Charlie as well, because, hey, this is a library. Don't bother someone while they're reading. That's rude. This is common sense.
You actually notice that she isn't reading. She's looking at the spines of the book and sort of walking around in a slightly daydreamy way, but she has a martini in the other hand that isn't holding this basket. So it's a fantastic shade of purple, whatever she is drinking. But yeah, so she's not actually reading a book.
Okay. Well,
All the more reason for Charlie to go bother her.
I still think that's a terrible idea, but whatever, I'm not your dad.
How many arms do you have?
I thought you were a dad. We pretty clearly established, I think, that you're a dad.
No,
No,
that was never a thing.
He's train uncle. Train dad is up in the front driving the train.
Oh, I apologize, train uncle. Once again, Snailian very gently pats Larry on the mask.
Seriously though, I'm getting dizzy. Can I please, like, ground, please?
At this point, Dora has noticed that there is someone else in the carriage, and this is partly because as she turns around, whatever was in that basket starts barking, and it is barking at you, Charlie, because you're a cat.
Yeah. Charlie kind of comes over like hair smooth back, trying to act as suave as he can. Hand out, right here's like, hello, my lady. It's like a pleasure to meet you. Name's Charlie. Ah! And then he's like on all fours, hair poofed up again, and like just hissing at the dog.
She's immediately she looks so disappointed and embarrassed at the dog, and she's like, no, oh please don't do that. Oh, I'm so sorry. He just doesn't like felines. I'm sorry, that's very species. Otto, stop! And she puts the martini down and starts petting the dog. He goes, but keeps looking at you like, I'm gonna kill you. But he's like being really cute now. It's like, But Dora seems like kind of like entranced by meeting you all, and is sort of delighted to be here, and is just sort of she's doing that polite celebrity thing where they're aware that everyone in this room knows like she supposes, like, because she doesn't know Snail and doesn't know who she is, but she supposes like you all know who she is.
Larry does put down Shorts Kid, because it seems like there's no point anymore.
Thank you, Larry. And then they're just like, you're a very good train uncle. And then they run straight up to Dora's drink and like immediately stare at it because they're like, forbidden juice.
Forbidden adult juice.
Forbidden sauce.
And Dora notices this and is like, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's for you. You'd probably fail your constitution saving throw if you tried to eat that. And how are you? Are you the guest who won the golden tickets? Gosh, that must be so exciting.
It's okay. My train dad said I can do things on the train, and they make grabby hands at the train.
What, are you like trying to drink the martini?
Yeah.
Okay, make a constitution saving throw. Go for it.
Hooray!
Also, yeah, this drink is like...
I have a +1 to this. So
Okay.
Short Kid has a better constitution than they have muscles.
This drink is a crazy color. It's like purple and magenta. It's cool. Oh, you fail it spectacularly. You down it, and you know that thing that cartoons do when they drink alcohol? So you turn green, and then a bit red, and then green again, and steam comes out of your ears, and there's a whistling sound, and after, like, sort of vibrating up and down like a jackhammer, and you do actually make a couple of dents in the floor, you're gonna pay for that later, yeah, you settle down and sort of goo onto the floor, like, and she sort of says, oh dear, are you going to be okay? I didn't mean that you should try to drink it. Oh dear, she's a minor.
Bleep,
Oh.
yeah!
Jeez.
That's like the second strongest alcohol I've ever had!
You probably haven't had any alcohol before now, Shorts Kid, but yeah, she looks really, really sort of like, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Oh no, also my drink's gone. But no!
Larry, can you put me down near Shorts Kid? I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to go back.
Harry slurps Snailian off of his head and drops them on top of Shorts Kid.
Thank you.
Good.
So Snailian, very obliviously, like, takes their little nubbins of hands and places it on Shorts Kid, and nothing happens because lay hands is magic. And
Actually-
they still haven't gotten it through their brain that magic doesn't work, even though they have +5 to wisdom.
I think that's
They're
adorable.
just very confused.
I think that's adorable enough, and it's a harmless enough magic. Like, it's a healing magic. That's like cool. So even though the magic is disabled, it does get through to Shorts Kid. So you know your headache lessens, and you are slightly less tipsy, but you are still a child that has imbibed an amount of alcohol.
Snailian looks at their little nubbins like, I have broken the rules.
Oh.
I will manipulate this for chaos.
You know what helps if I've had a little bit too much to drink is eating something. Maybe we should go to the food carriage. I hear they really do have an exceptional chef in there.
It's okay, we're in Europe and kids can drink.
Do they have confetti to eat? Because that was honestly pretty good.
They might, honestly, on this train.
Are we in Europe?
We're in
Heck's a
Inkwell.
Europe.
What's a Europe?
Oh yeah, train dad. And then they like sit up and they look very sleepy.
Oh boy.
Please
Larry
note.
picks them up again.
This time Shorts Kid just kind of like lets themselves be picked up and held and like buries their face in Larry's chest. Just like comfy.
Oh.
At this point, I would like to say Charlie has gotten up from being on all fours and hissing at the dog. He's back up on his feet, smooths his head back down, and is like, oh yeah, food, let's do that. Turns on his heel and just walks away, entire like glowing red from embarrassment from the whole dog thing.
Bless.
Snailian
Okay.
slowly goops up Charlie so that now she's on Charlie's head and goes, it was a real good attempt. You tried really hard. You couldn't have known there was a doggy there. You tried really hard.
Yep, moving past that now, going on. Food, snacks, that's what we were after. Yep, cool.
Snacks.
Okay. Yeah, you move on from the library with Dora, who is like Dora has joined your party. Da, 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 da. And the next room that you enter, you kind of like, oh, actually no, let's make this fun. Make a Constitution saving throw, everybody.
Oh god.
Oh, good.
Oh god.
That's not one of the ones I'm good at.
Don't worry, I'm good at it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I sent it in the wrong chat again. For Pete's sakes, I got a 14.
Okay.
Please
Oh
forgive
my
me.
It's fine.
god!
Okay, yeah, like none of you do very well. Who got the 14? Sorry.
Snail got the 14 and she
Okay.
put it in the wrong chat because she is Bobo the Clown.
Snailian.
Instantly imagine Snailian with a Bobo the Clown face for literally no reason, and then she shakes it off like, that was weird.
It's fine. Snailian actually looks the least like Booba the Fool because you all enter this carriage and Snailian doesn't actually have such a bad time, but you are immediately like blinded by disco! And there is a huge disco ball, and this is a ballroom. This is made of balls. There is a ball pit. Meet me in the ball pit.
Just waiting
every
for that.
conceivable type. There are giant Pilates balls. There's like a cascade of bouncy balls that appears when you enter. It's like this waterfall, and in the center of the room, astride this gigantic sphere in the middle of the ball pit, underneath the disco ball, is the most resplendent penguin you've ever seen. He's quite big, and he has an amazing afro, and he is wearing a bright white outfit with long tassels and gold stars all over, and he says, "Darling!" looking straight at you, Shorts Kid.
Don't tell Train Dad.
Who's Train? Are you talking about the engineer? Oh, you adorable. Oh, and who are your friends? Oh, Dora, darling, you got my invitation. And he goes immediately over to Dora and does the mwah, mwah, mwah that celebrities do. Is, oh, I hope you are having a fabulous time, darling. She's like, oh, yeah. A little bit. Like,
There's Catman and a Snail and Gary.
A cat, and he like tilts his star-shaped sunglasses to look over his beak at Charlie. He's like, and you, Larry, you appear to be a musician after my own tastes. How are you, sir?
I am here, which is about as much as we can say.
I see. Gosh, he's the life of the party, isn't he, darling? And he is leaning over to Shorts Kid again.
It's like hugging warm butter in a sock.
Are you okay? You smell a little bit funky, darling. What have you been doing?
I drank the forbidden sauce.
Dora, darling, I have told
so
you to
good.
keep that drinking habit of yours under control. What do you mean? We've never met before. Oh, yes, you're right. We have never met before, but I am a big fan of yours, and I am concerned about your drinking habit. And there is a sort of awkward, like, this wasn't supposed to go here.
Snailian waves like, the other penguins were really excited because I was an alien. I don't see what the big deal is, but if that makes you happy, hi.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, my little penguins will have been all over you, darling, because we are from the moon. And he, like, does this amazing twirl, and there is an explosion of, guess what? Confetti! As he says so.
Snailian is both completely ecstatic and also definitely, like, tries to as sneakily as possible. Actually, I'm going to try and do sleight of hand to see whether y'all see the fact that
Confetti stealing.
+1. Nope.
Nope. You are very obviously hoarding this confetti. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't the... That was an error. Oh, 15. Okay, yeah, you managed to sneak the confetti. In fact, like, people are kind of used to this by now, so they're not even bothering to look at you.
My gosh.
So she's like, what's it like on the moon? How's that gravity, though?
Oh,
Is it less than here? Or is it, like, more than here?
Why, I am light as a feather, and up there I'm even lighter. And he starts laughing at his own very bad joke. But he does take a look at Shorts Kid with a slight amount of concern. He's like, and speaking of lightweight, I think we ought to go and get some medicinal calories into this young creature here. Okay, I do believe I hear the dinner bell. Let's go, darlings. And he leads a conga line to the door. Are you going to take part in the conga line, everybody?
Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
Shorts Kid is still, like, physically attached to Larry because he is cozy at this point.
Aww.
There
even
is
need
an
to
impression
explain
of this
what
child in his chest.
Larry does.
Larry slouches at the back in what is not a semblance of the conga line, but maybe he occasionally sticks his foot out in time with the music because he's a musician.
Sure.
Yay! No one can see. You're at the back. It's fine. You're not outed by anybody. Okay, finally! Oh my god, it's been an hour and a half. Okay, this game may run for longer than 3 sessions, I'm guessing now.
We're just too happy to all be here.
You are. So you finally...
Just faffed about for an hour.
Honestly, I was expecting this to happen for this particular session, so it's fine, it's alright. So yeah, you enter the cuisine kitchen, and it is lorded over by Cuisine Kit, who is a very lovely CGI and cat who's grey and white. And as Dora and her package walk through the door, you hear that, and Dora's saying... So apparently this has happened before, because Cuisine Kit just doesn't even twitch. Like, she is completely aloof and is like, "Why, hello, darlings, get over there and sit down. I'm gonna cook you up something special. Have a look at the menu. I promise there will be something on there that you will adore." And there are lots of tables, but there's one on the other side which has occupants, and one of them you don't recognize, one of them you do. And are you going to sit at that table? Are you going to stay over here?
Is the guy we recognize the professor guy?
I'm actually, hang on. I've lost my notes. Hang on. Where am I?
Take your time.
Yes, it is. It is. Oh my god. Sorry. I would have thought that was so obvious.
you're
I
so
was like,
fine.
wait a second. Yes, the other person is Professor. Oh my god, it's so hard. Vudlig Don Vrake. I hate myself for calling him this.
Snailian immediately silent images, waves at person they don't know, waves at professor guy, and also silent images on the counter and waves at cat because they are polite.
The cat appreciates
They
this
know
greatly
great
and waves
people.
back with like a cute little paw. She's like, "Oh, you're adorable."
She makes a little, "Ow, stop it. No, you're adorable," little gesture before the silent image poofs.
Interestingly, in the kitchen, it isn't just Cuisine Kit. There are a number of the penguins who seem to like comprise the kitchen staff as well as just being general roadies, and they are very tiny and they are walking around under plates.
Immediately waving to each of them with a silent image.
One
She
of-
is
one of them-
dedicated to this bit.
One of them tries to wave back and drops their plate.
Oh! Immediately, like, there's a look of horror, and then she poofs and is, like, silently trying to shrink back into Charlie's fur, just like, "I didn't do it, and I didn't mean to prompt it. Nobody can prove it if they can't see me."
Charlie's just gonna reach up and kind of pat Snailian on the back a little bit. It's like, "Hey, come on, let's clean it up," and goes over to try and help clean up the drop plate.
"Yeah, I'll help clean up. I didn't mean to." And they're like, devastated. They just wanted to say hi.
The penguin is very, very grateful, and all of the other penguins are. So by doing this, Charlie and Snailian, you have gained favor with the penguins, which may come in useful later.
I will write that down.
Okay. Yeah, so are y'all gonna sit down and get your snack on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry does not sit with the other people because just because he recognizes a celebrity does not mean he's been invited to sit with them. Again, this is straightforward manners that people with common sense have.
Larry, you're so
he's
precious.
going to sit down at a different table.
Aw, that's very kind of you. Yeah, you're gonna sit with your buddy Larry, I'm assuming?
Snailian definitely sits with Larry after the faux pas of making a penguin drop a plate. And also, Larry seems kind of lonely over there. She couldn't just leave him by himself.
Well, he's got Shorts Kid, who is still drunk.
Yeah, but still.
Shorts Kid unfurls a little bit and then turns around so that they're just sitting on this large noodle man's lap. And they sort of, with a practiced motion, grab around at the table and pull a menu. They flip it over, which is like the kids' menu. And they immediately just point at the mac and cheese. And they're like, "This one's the good one."
It is, you're right. I mean, everything on this menu is good. Actually, yeah, what are you all eating?
Snailian will
Chips.
have whatever Shorts Kid is having, because they said with enough confidence that this is the good thing. They're like, "Okay, They're trying to blend in.
Shorts Kid is, like I said, they ordered the mac cheese with the kitty chicken nuggets, which are cat-shaped chicken nuggets. And it comes with a tall glass of something that is just basically completely sugar in a cup. It is bright orange. It doesn't smell like oranges. It smells like diabetes.
Oh boy.
And they look very happy with their choice.
Snailian, your mac and cheese comes with confetti on it.
How did you know? They're like now over the moon. Their emotions are just like up and down with this car.
The penguins give you a smile and, you know, that lens flare that comes off of sunglasses? They do that.
Definitely claps a little bit like, amazing.
Shorts Kid offers Larry a nugget.
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, no!
But there aren't any vegetables in this.
That was so good. I think that earns an inspiration point. Honestly, that was so bad. I love it.
I can't tell who you were talking to.
You. Shorts Kid gets an inspiration point.
They're doing their best. It's like...
I just want to say, like, while everyone else seems to have gone and sat at their own table, Charlie probably would have gone to sit at the same table as, like, wherever Dora has chosen to sit. Because, like, okay, he seems to be following this other lot, like, around the rest of the train, but also celebrities, gonna get in cozy with them, because you never know. And also because he absolutely has a crush on Dora.
That's fair enough.
Absolutely
It seems you're not... It seems you're not the only person, because DJ Moves has sort of wrangled her onto a table, so he was hoping to have a sort of one-on-one cozy little chat with this celebrity that he invited onto this train, and you come up and sit down, and the dog is like beneath its breath, like snarling at you the whole time, but like you're in, you sat down, you made the power move. So yeah, what are you eating? And then we'll get to Larry.
Charlie will have ordered like fish and chips, like the sort, like he's hoping for the sort of thing that you would just get from your local chippy, which is kind of like more grease than fish.
Oh,
but
lovely.
That's the sort of stuff he loves. So.
Nice. I had that last night actually. It was choice. We're gonna come back to you in a second. Larry, what are you eating?
So he did just say he's a vegetarian, and then he ordered a steak.
I just took a drink of water as you said that. Why?
Oh, God, my life.
Shorts Kid has still snuck one of their chicken nuggets onto his steak plate. So it's just like a steak with a small cat-shaped chicken nugget on top of it.
The perfect garnish.
Oh, boy. I will say, like, whatever you've ordered, it's damn good. Like, this is some good eating. This cat knows what she is doing. So, yeah, you have a really nice meal. Charlie, can you... I don't know what to make this. It's either persuasion or performance, but this is to see how well your conversation goes with these two.
I don't mind either because I've got the same +7 to both. I'm gonna say it's gonna be... Charlie's probably gonna lean into like the performance of like coming, like sidling in here, blatantly ignoring the dog and just going like, "Hi, didn't get a proper chance to say hi, hello before. I'm Charlie. Also, nice to meet you too. Like, my name's not Cat, it's Charlie." All of that sort of stuff.
Okay, go on.
And see how well it goes.
Let's see how this happens. 16. All right, that's not bad, especially when you consider that, you know, DJ Moves was a little cold on you to begin with because you're a cat and he's a bird. And, you know, with the whole dog situation, you somehow managed to claw your way past all of that. And for that, both Dora and DJ Moves are kind of impressed. So it's kind of like, yeah, you actually managed to get along with them. It's not like you're best buds now, but they're like, "Oh, you're okay. You're all right." So,
Hurrah!
there you go.
Charlie will happily just chatter with them and kind of like talk about wherever he has not heard of DJ Moves before. So, but he is also more interested in chatting with Dora. It's the sort of thing like Charlie will just chatter with the both of them about anything that pops into his head. So
That's fine. In fact, Dora seems to appreciate this because usually people are like just asking her about the movie and why isn't she in more movies, whereas you're just talking about like anything that occurs to you. And while like, you know, she's kind of got the barrier up that celebrities have when they're talking to a complete stranger who's not a celebrity, she kind of like actually starts to soften towards the end and is kind of like, you know what, you are okay.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah.
Okay. She gives you a big smile and you think like, that is the whitest smile I've ever seen. There's something been done to those teeth. But hey, you know, whatever, you have that life, so. The dog still hates you though. The dog still hates you.
You cannot convince the dog.
You cannot
I was
convince the
not
dog.
expecting to convince the dog. Charlie's just going to blatantly ignore it and not even feed it any of his chips.
Okay. As you reach the end of this meal, you some of you notice, perhaps not all of you, but the table which had the other two gentlemen at it has been emptied, and they have disappeared at some point during the meal. So the professor and mystery guest have left the cabin, and the only real, you know, new adventure to be had on this train is to head towards the lab, which is where the engineer had asked you to meet him later on for like reviewing stuff, and then to show you his precious engine. So you gonna do that? Oh, are you doing pudding? Like, what are you having for dessert?
Very important.
Very important.
Hold on. I can't describe this in its purity properly, so I'm going to just put a photo into the thing.
That's fine.
Just like hold.
Hopefully, I'll
I
be
can't
allowed
properly
to put this into
describe
the
this
video.
beauty. It's brown and chocolatey and gorgeous and probably not good for you, and it's cosmic brownies. It's just cosmic brownies.
Okay. Awesome. Cosmic brownies.
Which are
look at
like
that.
these tiny chocolate laden things covered in like little multicolored chips.
Yeah.
It's like eating chocolate and confetti, and also not good for you, and kids love them.
This is very good.
It looks sickening.
It
It's
does.
great.
It's perfect.
Exactly.
Charlie, what are you having for dessert?
Charlie's just gonna have like an ice cream sundae with a whole heap of chocolate syrup poured over the top, and like you know, the sort of thing. It's the sort of thing that you're more expecting a kid to order, but at the same time, it's like a massive serving, so there's no way a kid would be able to go through all this without being sick.
Live your best life, Charlie. Snailian, what about you?
So, do you want a picture for all of the desserts or just that specific one because Owl was describing it?
I was just being silly. You can do whatever
No, you
want.
don't have to post pictures, do this.
Okay, because Snail Ant's going total moon pie, and
Yeah!
and the thing is, she like gets it, but like before she eats it, she like makes direct eye contact with DJ Moves and like tips the moon pie and like, yeah, you and I, we get it.
He does a sort of cheers with his glass, which is full of something that is sort of galaxy colored. It's shimmery and shiny and navy blue and purple. It's awesome.
She like stares at his drink and then like looks at Short's kid and is like, I will have temperance just this once. Because she doesn't know if it's alcoholic or not, so she's just going with, I can be the adult.
That's very...
Shorts kid says you probably don't want to drink that.
That's
Just,
very
you
wise.
know, not speaking from experience or anything that would make train dad mad at me, but tastes good. Hurts the brain.
Okay.
A lot.
And finally, Larry, what are you up to with your sugar intake?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay, the steak and the cat-shaped chicken nugget were enough for you. That's fair enough. So.
Snailian offers the last bite of their moon pie, which is like a big deal. Like half of something is fine, but like the last bite, and she's like, You want the last bite so that you can have dessert but still feel okay about whatever diet you're on? And she's like looking longingly at it, but then looking at him intentionally, but then her eyes keep getting drawn back to it. But then she looks at him because she is being genuine in offering this.
Aw.
I would die for Snailian.
Mhm.
Good. Snailian would probably die for you first.
No.
Okay, you can have it.
No, but I'm offering it. And they're like stretching it, and like they're getting more and more toony about it because like it's so hard to resist because it's the last bite, and it was like even better than normal moon pies because Kat made it, but they're so earnest. You can have it if you want it because I'm giving it to you.
I had brownies in my pocket, so like I could trade you.
Larry takes a very long, deep sigh and takes the moon pie because he doesn't feel like convincing Zalian to take back their own goddamn dessert.
World's biggest goopy smile. Like
my
it's
God.
so hard to resist, but when it's like actually in their hands, they're like, I did nice thing and they like it. Keep in mind, he hasn't yet eaten it. They just immediately attribute he likes it. And she like hops off and then just starts like snottling off, snail waddling off. And is like,
Snoddling. I love that word. That's
I've
so
not
good.
been making enough of those jokes, and for that I apologize. I will fix that in future sessions.
No, it's fine. I think that combined.
You apologize.
Yeah, that combined with your altruism earns you an inspiration point. So enjoy that.
What a good. Yeah.
Oh, I will take full advantage of this.
Oh boy, you're not gonna use
Larry
it this
puts
game.
the final bite in his pocket because he's full right now. But sure, maybe he'll eat it later.
It makes me so happy that he like actually just wasn't hungry for dessert. But then everyone's like, you gotta.
Shortskin looks at the Snailian and then says, "You want a pocket brownie?"
Snailian, I would love a pocket brownie.
Shortskin just immediately is like, "All right, I'll hook you up," and then, like digs around in their pocket, and there's a slightly linty pocket brownie, but it's like half of Snailian's like bodily size, and they just hand it over.
Snailian looks at it and is like, wait a minute, am I gonna have to pay for this? Because I got no money.
It's on Train Dad's tab, and if it isn't, I don't know. I am a kid, which makes everything I do legal.
Oh no.
She stuffs it into her helmet and then very goopily hugs Shorts Kid.
Shorts Kid hugs back, and the goo is reciprocated.
Oh boy. Okay, are we
So
moving on
good.
to the next carriage, or is there anything else?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That was beautiful. Before you enter the next carriage, in this gap between the carriages, the cars, and you see the sun starting to hit the horizon. It's really beautiful. It's golden hour. As you are hesitating, looking at this beautiful scene, thanks to the bubbling effect, which mutes all the sounds outside of the train, you can hear a muffled conversation happening in the next car. What do you do?
Listen in.
Shorts
Everybody
Kid
else?
just wants to go inside, but they're at the back of the party right now because they stopped to say hello to Cooking Kit because they know Cooking Kit, and they were just like, "Food was really good. I'm not drunk anymore. Thank you so much," and like all that other stuff. But now they're just like, "I want to go in the next room," and they're like really antsy and impatient.
Okay, so Charlie's going to try and listen in. Shorts Kid, you're at the back, but I mean, you could try and like fight your way to the front. How about you other two, Snailian and Larry? What would you do?
Snailian isn't particularly suspicious, so she's like gonna let Charlie. She's not gonna open the door and ruin Charlie's good gag of listening in, but she's not like intentionally listening in herself, which may not be the smartest thing, but she's a trusting little lad.
Aw. Larry, what's your move?
Oh, it sounds like they're busy in there. I guess we should go back to our rooms. He turns around.
Shorts Kid is still standing behind him and is just like, I want to go in the forbidden room.
It's not forbidden, you've been invited. Actually, this works great because Larry, you turn around and basically collide with Shorts Kid, so you effectively stop each other while Charlie is listening, and Snailian is just kind of like, huh, and you do accidentally overhear a conversation. And you hear something along these lines. Yes, I have double-checked. None of the passengers are a match, even if he was wearing a disguise kit or illusion of some sort. He could not fool this test. And the bubble effect would have taken down any illusions he could have cast on himself anyway. Oh, but the boss man isn't going to be happy about it. Indeed, but perhaps this is the proof he needed to be putting his mind at rest finally. Oh, I'm sorry. I know perhaps you were also hoping he was still... Perhaps I was, yes. But I have had a whole year, to process my own sadness, whereas he did not even attend the funeral. People thought it was because he did not like the lad, but deep down, I think this denial of his refusal to give up believing that he is still alive, well, it was always an expression of his grief. And after that, there is silence.
Charlie's just gonna walk in and go, so who you talking about?
You completely shatter this moment, and the moment that you walk in on them both, you see the engineer, and he has his hand on Professor Woodlick's shoulder, and you can clearly see, like, he was consoling him, and they break apart, like, and, like, oh, hello, yes, I did invite you here, that's true, I had not quite forgotten about that. Hello, how are you doing? And he greets you all in, and the professor is sort of cleaning his glasses on his vest after retrieving them from the ceiling.
Snailian from the door, not knowing what Charlie's talking about. Hi!
Hello, yes, that's marvelous. It's lovely to see you. And yeah, the professor bows and greets you all and says, "Oh, yes, hello, welcome to my modest laboratory. I am somewhere between Scottish and Austrian. Holy shit, why are these accents so difficult? And I have them both talking to each other."
You put this onto yourself by choosing these characters.
I did, and I apologize.
You're doing so good, Mom.
I apologize to everyone from Austria, Germany, wherever this accent is supposed to be from, and like and Scotland, obviously, eternally. I am sorry, but I'm trying my best. I swear. And
from Buckderg.
So yes, actually, when you come into this laboratory, it's a really fantastic looking place, and this professor is particularly famous, as you all know, for his special fields of color, light, and music. He knows everything about these subjects. He knows everything about everything, but like these are the things he's the most famous for. And fittingly, his laboratory is just beautiful. It's prismatic. There's instruments all over the place. There's music playing, which is really odd music. Larry, because of your musical knowledge, and perhaps you, Charlie, because you are a bard, you realise that this music is in 4/6 time. This is very odd. And he has this enormous machine that he's standing next to, which looks like a hybrid between an upright piano and a stop organ type thing, but it also has like little flashing bulbs all over it and a sort of electric audio readout. And he says, yes, and welcome to my 4 and 6 lab. You'll see, this is the hub of this train of science, and I am conducting a little experiment, and thank you very much for obliging me with your samples, and I have finished analyzing the data. Would you like to see it?
Is that the
sure.
stuff you took from our mouth?
I'm 8.
Yes, you are correct. This is what we took, your DNA, that is definitive nomenclature of animation. This is a sample. Oh, this is something I have been researching for the past year, more than that actually. This is to find out what your chromatic scale is. You see, every cartoon is inherently alive with vibration, and he hits a little bell to demonstrate, ding. But you are also made of light, and he turns on a bulb. And when you combine a cartoon's unique signature of sound and light, you have their chromatic scale, and this can be used to identify people they are related to, and I am hoping that one day it will be able to be used in solving, well, for example, a crime. If someone committed a crime and you could take an ink sample from the cartoon that you suspected and match it to some data from the site of the crime, then you would be able to support his accusation in court. It is a great advance in Toonkind technology and science.
Snailian's hand shoots up.
Yes, what can I do to you?
Would it have been better to take goop from my helmet? Because I didn't think of it at the time because you said use my mouth, but the goop from my helmet is also me.
This is
Would
good.
it have been better?
No, I would be very interested in comparing the results between the two samples. Perhaps we can run another diagnostic afterwards. And he looks really happy about this, that you're so into this.
Okay, and she starts immediately pushing her helmet off, and of course, only when it's comedic, it's stuck. So she's just silently trying to immediately give him the sample because she's yeah, sure, whatever.
I'm gonna say the engineer sees this and wants to help you, so he's gonna do a strength check to try and get this off you. Oh, he fails. It adds to the gag, so you've got this incredibly burly engineer trying to help you get this helmet off, and it's just not coming off. It's you carry on. Did you not take some samples from the others? Perhaps you can talk about that for a while. And he's trying to lever it off.
Oh, I'll note that the moment that it got mentioned that, oh yeah, they can probably use these to help solve crimes and everything, all the color would just immediately have drained out of Charlie's face. Because it's oh no, they have this on record now. So what else were you going to use these things for, Doc?
The professor is completely clueless about this. He's such an innocent. He turns to you and says, oh, well, the implications that you could use this for are quite endless. I have yet to think of the possibilities. I was working on making sure that the system works. At present, we are taking a tour of the whole of Inkwell, thanks to this wonderful train, which has the financial support of a mutual friend of ours, and he nods at the engineer, who is still struggling with this helmet and is turning a funny sort of purple colour. And he says, and we are hoping that it might reveal some truths about the strange events that are happening across our beloved Inkwell.
Lefty Lucy.
It gets stuck like this sometimes. It's okay. I'm just gonna keep pushing for a while. I'm okay. Keep talking.
Well,
You're turning it to the right. To open stuff, you gotta turn it to the left.
in the meantime, he says pointedly, would you like to see what your chromatic scale is? Or perhaps you would prefer this data to remain personal. I completely understand.
I'll look at the
Chromatic scale. Chromatic scale.
I'll look at the thing that you said. I'll look at it.
Okay, and he rubs his hands and pulls a bunch of things. And I wish I could have found the link to this object, but this kind of crazy cartoon organ that is made of sound effects. It exists, and it's a marvelous thing. But he does all this, and your data goes comes out on a piece of paper. And it's interesting because it's come out on a piece of paper, but it's moving. It's like a color sound wave, and you can see it on this piece of paper on a graph. And basically, it says that yours, Shorts Kid, is polyxylophonic. So it is made of polygons, and you described your tune's sound self as probably being a bit like a xylophone. So your signature, your chromatic scale for Shorts Kid is polyxylophonic, and he hands it over and says, "You can keep this. This is you. This is your little makeup. It is a unique thing. It is very special."
Shorts Kid's eyes just like sparkle, and then they immediately run over to the engineer, and they're like, "Look, science!"
While you hand this thing to him, he is like kind of so surprised that his arms jerk upwards, and at this point, the helmet goes flying off and goes pinging around the room. So, Snailian, you are now free from your helmet, your Snailmet.
My helmet went that way. My helmet. Should we use the other one for the thing so that you can do the thing in the prove? And they're like, their little nubbins are like doing the pointing everywhere stuff after they pointed where the helmet had trundled off to.
Oh, well, it's okay. I have your data here. We will do another analysis later on. It does take a little while for me to run these experiments, but thank you very much for adding to this data. More data is always good in science.
Do you want to get the sample before we do the thing? Because it's like it's really hard to get the helmet off sometimes. So like,
you actually see the engineer who's retrieved your helmet and is taking a sample from it. He's like, "All right, I've got it, darling."
Okay. While I'm putting the helmet back on, it's normally less funny putting it back on, but we're gonna see. Go ahead and do the thing. And they like fit their rabbit ear-like appendages through the little holes and start like pushing back down on it.
Yep, you get back in there, and while you're doing, the machine makes its and a piece of paper comes out, and yours is similarly, it's a sound wave on a piece of paper that moves, but yours is completely black and white. It is in different shades, but it's got quite a spectrum of grayscale to it, and yours comes out saying that it is mono upbeat.
Ooh, what's that mean?
Your sound line like seems to bump up and down, like it's a double bounce walk cycle. It has that kind of rhythm to it. And the professor says, "Oh, well, this is very marvelous. The monochromatic scales are unique, and they seem to be the most archaic of the lines in Inkwell. It is very interesting to accumulate more monochromatic data. So thank you very much. I will be very glad of this. Upbeat, just it seems to be what your personality is like. The sound of the soul, if you understand. Would you two like to see yours as well?"
Charlie has
do it.
It's cool. And there's like a sparkle emoji in her eyes as she says, "It's cool."
Charlie admittedly was very hesitant at first because he doesn't like the idea of like there being outright data on him, but at the same time seeing these other two sheets and everything, that he figures, hey, that's really, really cool. I want to see what I look like. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry, Larry, you'll have to wait again. Oh, the curse of the straight man is always being the punchline. But it always comes at the end. The punchline always comes at the end. Okay, so he repeats the process, and Charlie, yours comes out. Yours is very zingy. It's quite bright, and it almost seems like a little bit painterly. So yours comes out saying that it is techni freeform, because you are Technicolor. And extremely sort of freeform jazz. You described yours as kind of a percussion character. So yeah, it's got a sort of, if you could hear the sound wave, you think it would sound like a really cool jazz drum fill.
Yeah.
Like dance.
Yeah. So he hands this over to you, and he says, yes, this is one of my favorite chromatic colors. You see, it's very lively, and this is an excellent sample. Thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Not a problem, mate.
Snailing is like definitely leaning over Charlie's shoulder and like looking at it like, not as cool as mine apparently. But like patting him consolingly and saying, but it's still cool.
And yes, the professor is looking at Larry expectantly, hopefully.
Don't need it. And he does a dramatic chord on his banjo. I already know the music of my soul.
Isn't it cool to like certify it though?
I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. Again. But strikes another dramatic chord. I'm covered. I already play what is in my heart.
The professor holds up a piece of paper and, listens to the chord you made and is like, you are correct. You are quite on right. Yes, you do know the color of your soul. And he tears up the piece of paper because you just played it.
Snail is like completely eyes emoji. They can't believe this. That's so cool. Can I play it? And they're like immediately nubbins out to the banjo.
Maybe later.
So,
Snail drooping.
Before this jam out session gets any further, the engineer takes out what looks like it should be like a pocket watch, but it's like a stopwatch with a digital display, and he's clicked one of the buttons on it, and he's sort of making a and the professor says, "Oh yes, of course, we are on this schedule of this sort," and laughs in a sort of I'm not supposed to have laughed or told anybody that, and the engineer kind of looks at him, which is incredible because he has no eyes, but you kind of get the sort of feeling from that. But the engineer takes over and is like, it's true, I have to resume my duties as the engineer. I cannot be away from the engine for any amount of time, otherwise I would not be doing my job. But if you would like to accompany me, I can show you it for a wee while.
Yes!
Shorts Kid is immediately in on this and just like, straight up is like, hell yeah, time with Train Dad. This is what they've been waiting for this whole time. And they immediately like spring up and they're like trying to just like leap majestically and then like just like tackle hug this man.
Okay, I'm gonna make a dex saving throw for that. Hang on, let me see what my dex save is. Because I have to do things on this piece of paper. Where the hell is that? Okay, it's just a +3. No, completely failed. Definitely not on purpose. The engineer is clamped and you have landed on him. He says, "Oh no, what a shame. Never mind. We'll have to go as is." And starts to walk off to the other carriage with his new cape.
Look, I'm wearing the outfit that I got the last time we were at the thing that you don't want to talk about because of the knives.
I remember, lass. Are we all setting off?
Charlie has always wanted to drive a train. He has always wanted to drive a train. He is just about as excited as Shorts Kid.
Snailian has like gooped up Shorts Kid back and is now resting on their head because it's a tradition at this point, and is like, yeah.
Larry?
Excellent.
How are you doing, Larry?
I'm good here. He thinks this car is pretty cool. He'd rather hang out here, honestly.
Oh, but I do insist, and you get a very forcible, like, amazingly strong for how small it is, hand on your wrist, and you are pulled along. Are you going to try and contest this?
Yes.
Okay, this will...
Because this seems weird.
This will mess with everything if you succeed, I will say. But never mind, carry on!
It's okay, you don't have to worry. He doesn't have any knives right now.
13. I'm gonna, like, roll to see.
You are being very fair, Maud.
Whew. Oh, thank you, gods of the dice. Okay, so the engineer wins, and you are pulled along. Like, you managed to obviously physically make a protest. Like, it's a bit slower than he usually walks, but my goodness, this little creature is determined. Wow. And so you leave the professor, who waves happily seeing you go off, and you enter the next carriage. Oh my goodness, this carriage is lovely. This carriage is so nice. This is the conservatory, and it's so relaxing in here. The windows are from the floor to the ceiling, so you can see this beautiful sunset, and it's all shades of purple and orange and gold, like stretching out forever. You are currently heading over to the lands of UPA, and it's just this beautiful Warner landscape, and it's just flat and golden and beautiful. But inside it's just as beautiful, because this is a garden. There's like rock pools, there's a little waterfall and a little bridge that goes over it. There's one of those little bamboo things that goes clunk every now and again. It's completely quiet in here. So this is the quiet carriage. So if you're having a panic attack, this is where you go. And it's lovely. And you've noticed some of these before, but this is the first time you like actually walk in and you have a proper look at it. There's a part of one of these spaghetti type tubes hanging down in the middle of the room. It actually lands in the middle of that bridge, and he points it out as you're walking towards it. He says, oh yeah, I don't suppose any of you've had an opportunity to try our transportation tubes. I didn't feel the need to warn any of you about it, because you're all Toonkind, but you kind of use them if you're not Toonkind or Muppet born. It's inadvisable, shall we say. And you can imagine that travelling via straw, if you're not bounceable, squashable, or made of fluff, probably wouldn't be such a great idea.
Please note, as soon as they got into the garden, Snailian got like Steven Universe eyes and went, "Here in the garden, let's play a game." And then they like shake it off like, "What was that?" I'm sorry, they're pink. I had to.
Fair enough.
Well, technically they're black and white, but they would be pink if they were colorized.
Grayscale pink.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about this lovely, relaxing garden place?
Short Kid really wants to see the engine of the train.
Fair enough.
They're just like, yeah, it's nice in here. When do we get to see the cool thing?
It's really pretty and all, but no, what Charlie wants to drive the train. Charlie really wants to drive the train.
Snailian's gonna make another sleight of hand, because she is definitely going to try and eat a leaf off of something.
Do it.
But she also doesn't want to get yelled at. Oh.
Nah, you totally chomp one of these things, and when you do, you hear, "Hey, I don't think that's very nice, do you?"
Snailian immediate mouth still full of leaf. Waves?
And out from behind this piece of foliage comes a man whose outline was almost like exactly the same. And I kind of want to get to him, but Larry, really, what do you feel about this place? Because I don't want to walk over you.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, it is. That's a summary of the place. So the person who has just stepped out from behind this foliage, whose Homburg hat outline matches this plant exactly, is a UPAan, like the most UPAan guy you've ever seen. He is completely blue with a white outline, and it really is just an outline. And from it you can tell he's wearing a Homburg hat and a nice dapper little jacket, pencil-lined skirt and cute little kitten heels. But you haven't met this person before, which is a bit like, you know, the other people, the other celebrities you've met are celebrities, like capital letters all the way through that word. This guy, like, you don't recognize. And he tips his hat, which actually kind of just, like, becomes a pool of that colour on his hand with the outline having transferred. And he's got a big shiny white eye, but the pupil is just the same colour blue. And he says, "Why, hi there, I am Victor Tim. It's lovely to meet you. Lovely, lovely, lovely." And he's going around shaking all of your hands. Yeah, the engineer sort of said, "Oh, hello, Tim. Yes, it's very nice to see you. We're on the way to the engine, so if we can just... But I haven't had the opportunity to say howdy. How are you? How are you? How are you?" And he's going around, like, shaking all your hands again in sequence.
Snailian shakes his hand both times, but like chews faster. Like, She's not letting this go. It's a good leaf, okay? She can enjoy confetti and leaf. She has multitudes.
I'm a fully realized character.
It's true. Boy. Okay. Actually, Larry, I feel like you would like immediately not like this guy. But how do you feel about having your hand shaken without permission?
Yeah, he is not entirely a fan. But hey, everyone in this train seems pretty rude, so whatever.
And yeah, Charlie, first impressions?
Yeah, Charlie's just kind of like he's met people from UPA before, and like he's kind of like, oh yeah, this is what he likes, and he absolutely loves them because they're generally like they're so like they tend to be very cheerful and very scattered, and Charlie is like, yes, I have found other people like me, so he's absolutely happy to just like have his hand shaken like over and over again, and he's probably. You know what Charlie would do? He would get in on the nonsense. So, like, while this guy is like shaking everyone else's hands, Charlie is also joining in with shaking everyone's hands, even though he's been traveling on the train with these guys for a while already.
You like end up doing a double handshake, like his right hand is shaking your left hand and your vice versa, which is a bit difficult, like, because every time you look at this guy, you are just seeing the side of him, no matter where you're standing. Like, you assume he's got two eyes, but you really just cannot. It's like a sprite illusion thing. But he seems really happy that you're happy. Like, and he's, oh, how lovely to meet a like-minded chap like yourself. This is marvelous. I am the, well, what would you call me but a linesman? I look after the deadlines, I look after the top lines, and I avoid the bottom lines. I have been looking after the finances for this project for quite a while, haven't I, Mr. Engineer? And the engineer looks like kind of a bit tired. He's like, oh, yes, we are all friends of Mr. Victor Tim over here. Yes, as is our key sponsor, who will be expecting us to keep on time. So, like, and he's looking at the stopwatch again. Interestingly, every time you look at the stopwatch, it's only ever counting down. Only ever counting down. And so Victor sort of says, oh, yes, yes, it's understandable, but I just wanted to, get to know our fantastic golden ticket winners. How are you enjoying the trip so far?
It sure is something.
Isn't it, though? Isn't it something? And he's like hoping that you're going to say something wonderful.
This place is certainly swanky, and I love it so far.
Oh, that's great to hear. I like to hear that my investments are paying dividends. Oh, and I could tell you some stories about some that didn't. And he slaps his knee and laughs and is like, I probably shouldn't have told you that. But anyway, how about you, little ones? How you finding it?
Why was to eat the leaf?
Oh, I understand. You put some green stuff in front of me and I can't keep my hands off it. Green stuff like dollar bills. Anyway, how about you, little fella? Yeah?
I like it, by the way.
Oh, good.
Why was it? 'Cause leaf. I eat them.
Oh, I would advise you don't eat all the plants. You gotta share them out to the rest of the folks. I can tell you how much that leaf cost, in fact. Haha. And he looks at you with a slightly sort of, I know how much that leaf cost, seriously.
Since I already bit it, can I finish it?
Yeah, why not?
And she like immediately grabs the leaf before he can change his mind and stuffs it into her mouth. I'm sorry, Shorts kid.
No, it's okay. I was waiting because I fucking love Snailian. But Shorts kid is still attached to the engineer and has just been looking at Mr. Tim this whole time, and for some reason they don't like him. Like, this kid likes everyone. This kid fucking liked Larry before he was like chill and just carrying them around the train, and they frigging like the engineer. who at one point did something with knives. So, like, it says a lot that this child does not like this man, like, in the slightest, and is just, like, leaning forward a little bit, and they, like, look out of the corner of their eye at the engineer, and they look back at the man, and then they kind of shuffle so they're a little bit behind his head.
Aww. The engineer seems to understand this entirely. He's like, well, I suppose it's been a lovely meeting you. Yes, okay, but we really must be moving on. And he strides as long as his very tiny legs allow. So he's propelling you all towards the engine. If any of you have any objections to this, now is the time to raise them.
Is Tim with us?
No, he doesn't seem to be wanting to go with you. He actually goes and sits on one of the chaise longues which are scattered around this carriage, and it's so relaxing. Like, you completely understand why he wouldn't want to leave. He's like, okay, see you around, kids, bye.
Snalian silent images one of herself onto him and then waves by because she recognizes that she was a little bit rude in eating his one leaf from his plant, which was apparently very expensive, so she's giving him the dignity of being waved goodbye.
Okay.
Now that Short's kid, like, when they changed cars and, like, the door shuts behind them after that, Short's kid just immediately to the engineer goes, that guy weirds me out.
Oh, you are not alone there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's weird, right?
A little bit.
Like, we don't have to talk to him again, right?
Oh, I don't expect so. And Larry, what are you going to say?
Yeah, he seems like a tool.
The engineer actually, like, snort laughs at this and, like, gives you a
Wait,
pat.
what's he building?
Like, Larry, for the first time, you've, like, actually earned the engineer's, like, approval, so he totally gets that.
Nice.
What's he building?
Building?
Oh, I'm sure we'll learn eventually.
Alright, that's fair.
Train.
Yeah, I'm guessing Charlie wants to be on this train engine as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is not paying attention to anything that's been going on. He just wants to drive this train, or at least get to pull the pull the thing for the whistle.
Oh, he's unlikely to be allowed to drive it, but the whistle we may arrange. So you exit this final carriage, and it really is the final carriage because you suddenly go whoop out of the bubble, and you are outside of your magical restriction bubble for a second because what he has to do, the engineer takes this strange looking key out of his pocket, and you are standing directly behind this giant gumball. This is the fuel caddy, and he puts it in, and you know how, like, on a gumball machine it has, like, that little turny bit and then the thing comes out? It looks like that, and he turns it, but instead of, like, a gumball coming out, the entire bottom of this thing goes and opens up slightly. So there's a channel through the underneath of this gumball, and you can look straight up at this clear sphere that's full of what looks to be like pop rocks and probably raw sugarcane. You think there might be some other stuff in there, but like it's sugar. It's sugar. And again, like when you saw the penguins loading up the cargo onto the train, you saw a couple of them pouring this fuel into the top of this gumball. And you walk underneath it, and as soon as you've gone through it, he turns around and does the key thing again, so it shuts. So it is basically, like, sealed off. Like, the engine is normally off limits to passengers. You realise that with great clarity. And as you enter the engine room, that bubble sort of goes whoop again. And you are now inside this glorious thing, and yeah, it's every train driver's dream, and it does smell delicious in here because every now and again there's a great clattering as this fuel comes from the gumball into the engine, and you can hear the great thumping pistons like pushing out these cotton candy clouds, and you can somehow you can see like all around out of this train, despite outside looking just like a big metal cylinder. it must be like a mirror, like a two-way mirror, because you can see out of these cylindrical shaped windows all the way down the chamber and out of the front at this amazing sunset, and it is so romantic. And the engineer just takes a deep sigh. It's like, she's a beauty.
It's a
So
train.
is it about to explode or what?
Oh,
What's with the
no.
countdown?
Not this one, no. She's like, as I said, not my usual. And I have to look after this one, otherwise I would be out of pocket for quite a while. And he taps the
You
the side.
did blow up the last train,
Yes, I.
but it was fun.
I love that, like, Larry just, like, absolutely nailed it and no one questioned it.
Yeah.
He's a straight man.
Yep.
Charlie is immediately gonna kind of like dash forward, just looking at all the cool bits and bobs, and like wants to touch, is like reaching out to do so.
Yeah, the engineer like immediately goes after you and is like, keep your hands to yourself. I am still the engineer here. Oh, and these are my train engineer assistants, and there are two owls in here who wave abstractedly, who are like actually kind of running the train while the engineer had been off on his little tour of the rest of it. And I want you all to make like an intelligence check, I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna suck.
Oh dear.
You're a wizard! What? Your intelligence is supposed to be good. It's not. Oh,
Yeah,
no, that's
sounds about
Charlie.
right for Charlie.
Okay.
A 3 is about right for Charlie.
3, 8. This is brilliant.
Shorts kid is 8.
This is so good. A 9 and a 15.
Oh.
Okay, so that was like the 15 was Snailian. That works perfectly. Okay, so the engineer goes off on one. He basically spontaneously just starts a lecture on how this engine works and giving you a tour of all the bits and bobs and how it works. None of you understand a goddamn thing apart from Snailian. Snailian like is an alien and works with space technology, and like this is all like completely understandable, basically. If anything, like it's a little beneath what Snailian culture is able to do. But yeah, the engineer has a...
Beneath is a very strong word.
Okay. It's like expected though. You're like you get it.
Yes. She's not looking down on them in her mental standpoint.
No.
She totally understands cultures change at different points, and they're doing very, very well. She's not looking down at them. She might be looking down at them a little bit.
Little bit. Just a little bit. Which is hilarious considering how short she is. But yeah. You have
She
this...
rides on people.
Yeah.
She likes to feel tall.
You have this spontaneous lecture bestowed upon you, and it lasts for a while. Like, there's a lot going on in this engine, and he's so happy. Like, you kind of don't want to interrupt because, you know, when someone is talking about their favourite thing in the world, like, that's what he's doing. Like, the engineer is, like, the happiest you've seen him this entire time, and he's really, really pleased about it. And
So the train runs on candy.
that is the
So
basics.
cool.
This is the cutest thing ever, but Charlie's got like a little like daydreaming bubble above his head, and he's just imagining himself driving a train, like a little cartoony, almost crayon type drawing of him driving the train, and completely not listening to anything that's being said.
The engineer actually turns around and notices your thought bubble and pokes it with his finger and says, would you like to blow the whistle, laddie?
Absolutely.
All right, go and knock yourself out. It's this lever right here. And he gives you, like, permission to pull the whistle chain.
Charlie is just gonna go nuts on the whistle train. He's gonna be pulling it like really long, really hard, and like with only like 0.2 of a second in between each whistle. So I hope none of you value your hearing.
Yeah, it's loud. It's really loud, especially because you're inside the engine. And yeah, it lets out this kind of joyful scream of a whistle. And you can imagine it rolling out across this desolate plain for miles and miles. And it's all really rather fun. And the engineer just, like, heartily approves of your enthusiasm for this. However, on the third blast, it's interrupted by a not so joyful sort of buzzing sound on the intercom, and you realise this is the panel that the engineer had been talking to you before, and there are these emergency contact panels in every single carriage. and his joy sort of, you can see it sort of wash off him. He's like, oh, that's strange. Hold on a second, everybody. I've just got to answer this. Hello? Yes? What can I do for you? And he's put, like, a speaker phone to his ear, but you can probably slightly overhear what's going on. And on the screen on the opposite, you can see it is Cuisine Kit, who looks like she's already black and grey. I mean, black and grey? White and grey. She's even paler than she usually is. And she says, well, I don't want to spoil the party, but I'm afraid there's been a... And you hear something very quiet, and he says, the engineer, that is, says, murder on my Taffy train! And at that point, we are going to leave it, because I can't think of a better way to end the episode, and that has destroyed my vocal cords. And yeah, that's the end of episode 1 of the Taffy train Cross-Continental.
Light, and I love it.
Hooray! Oh, I'm so glad we actually got to the murder. Otherwise, I would have been in real trouble.
But we did it, and with like 4 minutes to spare.
Oh boy! Yeah,
I truly cannot believe that the train, the engineer goes on. There's a murder.
There's a murder. Who would have seen it coming? No one. Not me, that's for sure. So yeah, we're gonna run these games for like 2 or 2.5 hours. We'll see what feels natural. On the basis of how long this one took, it may well take more than the anticipated 2 more episodes. So we'll see how it goes. I think we just have to play it by ear, but I'm hoping to run these every 2 weeks. So if that works for people, just let me know. If we need to reorganize, I can do that. So.
All right.
There's a lot of murders on Train Dad's train.
Yeah, it's an occupational hazard, really. Yeah. But thank you so much for playing. I hope you all had a good time. I love all of your characters.
Absolutely. Everyone was an absolute delight in this. I love all of your characters. It's great.
Yay. Okay, and I'm going to stop recording. So let's wrap it up, folks. Yay!
Yay! Good game.
Good game.